Chapter 1. Get a Life. I was massaging Sherry's feet, imagining my fingertips releasing some kind of magical energy to cure her cancer, when she pressed pause on the TV remote. Our eyes met. She smiled. "Mom," she said, "you need to get a life." A life? A few days earlier, the oncologist had sent her home from the hospital saying hospice was her best option. I smiled back. "Sweetie, you are my life." "I know, Mom," she coughed. "I don't know what I'd do without you." I lowered my head and took a deep breath. In just 2 years, I'd seen so many changes in Sherry from the chemo. Moon face, weight loss, hair loss, and rashes. Her once wispy hair had grown in thick and choppy. Now, 15 pounds heavier, she looked different, but not like she was dying. "What will you do when I'm gone?" She paused. "You need to move on." My stomach tightened. Since my husband's funeral 9 months before, I had been spending 5 nights a week with Sherry and her husband Chris. But now I had just rented out my townhome and settled in to live full-time with them. Why was she talking about moving on? Now all that mattered was this time with her. I gently tugged at her toes, hoping we could get back to what our typical afternoons had come to be, sitting together in her family room, watching TV with her Yorkies, Rose and Olivia, curled up beside us. But Sherry had more on her mind. Reaching for my hand, she said, "Mom, you know that's what Dad wanted. That's what I want." During Greg's long illness, he told me that he wanted me to find someone after he was gone, and I believed that I would someday. Several weeks earlier, while I was out walking the dogs, a list of qualities I would look for in a new mate popped into my head. Kind, loving, honest. I wanted to tell Sherry, but she was part of a clinical trial for a new chemo drug, so I decided to wait until we got the good news. The good news never came. How could I think about getting a life or anything else other than my daughter? Suddenly Sherry sat up. "A dating site, that's it," she said like she had just solved a murder mystery. A dating site? My heart pounded. I reached for the remote, turning my attention to the TV. Howie Mandel bumped his fist with the woman contestant. "Did you see that? He didn't shake her hand." "You've never noticed that before?" Sherry always noticed details. She was meticulous about everything. The books on the shelf in alphabetical order, the Queen Anne chairs turned at the right angle, the kitchen desk neat and tidy. She continued, "He's a germaphobe." "Really? How do you know that?" Anything to divert the subject away from me and dating. Greg hadn't even been gone a year. Wouldn't that be like cheating on him? We had been together for 25 years, since I was 30. When Sherry was diagnosed 2 years before, I promised to give her anything she wanted. I couldn't imagine what it might be. She was happy. She loved her husband, dogs, home, and career. I knew my daughter as well as any mother could. But if I was missing something, if she had any dreams or goals that I didn't know about, I wanted her to live them. If she was only pretending to be happy, I wanted to fix it. I wanted nothing but her happiness. So later that night in my room, I supposed I should at least try to do what she asked. I opened my laptop, a gateway that I'd bought before Greg sold his dental practice, planning to use it to organize a business of my own. Instead, I used it mostly to research cancer and send emails to family and friends about Greg's and Sherry's health. After Greg died, Sherry and I sometimes thought up silly questions to ask Google, for fun and to relieve our boredom. When one of the chemo drugs wreaked havoc on Sherry's taste buds, the only food she could taste was green olives. She ate jars of them. What was the difference between the green and black ones? Turns out the answer is ripeness. The unripe green olives and the ripe black ones undergo a curing process, either by being packed in salt, brined, or soaked in oil or